Good morning. Good morning. It's Monday, January 17th, and I am taking coffee and cold calls live. So, if you look back at some past videos of mine, maybe early last year, late 2020, I did this kind of series called Coffee and Cold Calls. And basically, at that time, I was getting up every single day and I was making sure that I was getting my calls in. And it was very much there was a lot of editing. Like I would go through, I would do the session, record the whole thing. Then I would go in and edit it and edit out all the little like blank stares and silent parts and do all that stuff. And then I would post it here on YouTube. But now I'm just gonna go ahead and do it live, and I'm doing things a little bit different. But first, let me give you a little background on myself. My name is Blake Wallace. I'm the owner and principal broker of Wallace Realty Group. Yes, I own my own brokerage, and I'm currently in the process of adding agents to my firm. So if you are a St. Paul or Minneapolis or Twin Cities real estate agent looking to make a change, looking to jump over to a new brokerage, very boutique independent firm, definitely reach out to me and let's talk. Let's see if it'll be a match. Got some really good compensation plans. Keep up to 90% of your commission. But yeah, let's talk. Let's talk. Anyway, I've been in the business for 15 years now. Started my brokerage last year, was with two other firms prior to that. I tend to stick and stay, so a lot of people jump around to a bunch of different firms. I started with one, had an apprenticeship program. Once my the guy I was in the apprenticeship under, he retired, and I started to look for another brokerage. And I moved over to another brokerage, then stayed there forever until I opened up my own, and I felt like I had my bearings under me. Um, what else do I have for you? Cold calls. Yes, I still wake up in the morning. Yes, I still do my cold calls. Yes, I'm still very much in production at the same time, looking to groom and teach and coach new agents that are coming in, experienced agents as well. If they look to make a change and want to boost their business this way, definitely looking to do it. So that's kind of my story right there going in. So yeah, so reach out to me. My plan here, or my goal every morning is just to wake up and take action. There's a lot of different things about morning routines and things like that. I wake up, drink some water, read a little bit, take my dog for a walk, and then I like to start taking action. You know what I mean? So right now, you see I'm at my home office. Is great because a lot of times that's where everybody's working right now. So you don't have to worry about getting up and getting dressed up unless it's something that helps you feel better and talk better on the phone or something. But you don't necessarily have to worry about that. So I get up, put on my workout clothes, because after I hit my first session and before I move into doing follow up, I'll do a quick workout, shower up, get ready for the day, because the afternoon I like to leave open for potential appointments. All right. So I hope all that makes sense. But I'm gonna get into it. So before, if you look at coffee and cold calls, I was very much dialed in, logged into a dialer, dialing three lines at a time. Right now, though, what I'm doing is I'm challenging myself. Expired listings have always been a challenge for me. Regular cold calls like circle prospecting, things like that, I feel like I've gotten really, really good at it. And actually, if I don't have appointments in the afternoon, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take my circle prospecting script and take it directly to the door now. So I'm going back out to the door just because when I was circle prospecting, I noticed that the pickup rates were becoming less and less for those. Because you're just calling random people, they're seeing a random number pick up. I understand people are probably screening calls. So I started doing it where I would get back out and go back out to start door knocking. And that's proven to be really, really effective. So if you've seen any of my past videos of me doing circle prospecting, I use the same script for absentee owners and circle prospecting either way. So when I would go out, I would target, homes that people have lived in for 10 years or more, things like that. And then I would just jump in the car, head out there, walk around the neighborhood, get about 100 doors in a couple of hours, and then call it a day. Now what I'm doing is my calls are focused mainly on expired listings because I really want to narrow down. I want to get over the fear of expired listings. I'll be honest with you. Expired listings are tough because they're frustrated already when you get on the phone, right? And so you tend to you get met with a lot of rejection early on in the call. They're already put off by you. There's not like a curiosity there because there's probably been 5 or 6, maybe more other agents that have already called them. So I look to be a little bit different. I look to keep my scripts brief, be gone. It's always something that I've taught. So jumping in and doing that and calling these same people over and over and over again every single day for the first week that they expire, unless they answer the phone and I have a conversation with them. But if they don't, I'm going to continue to call them every single day for the first 7 days before I leave a voicemail, and then I put them on a brief, and then I put them on a four card mailing campaign that gets a mailer to them. And once I set them up on that, then I call them every week. And then if they don't answer after that, I leave them one more voicemail and I let them go. So look, I just read this. I'm always reading books, as you know. I read How to Become a Rainmaker. One of the things that they say is fish where the big fish are, right? When you do that. So expired listings are kind of the big fish, especially if you're looking to, you can do it. It's really easy because if you want to increase your amount per sale, your price per sale, you can definitely target higher price expired listings. I set mine up to come to me, and I usually target the ones that are 350 and above. Condo, single family house, doesn't matter. And so these are the ones that I call, but I call them over and over and over again. And I make the amount of calls that you need to make a contact. I call them that many times. Like I call that one person that many times in order to reach out and get in contact with them. And so basically, if no other agent is going to be following up like that and I happen to catch them, then they'll do that. Now, another thing that I do is I always go back and see anybody that I called a year or so ago, and I'll reach out to them again and see if it's something that they want to do. I use a system called My Plus Leads, who basically tells me when it's relisted or when it's been expired. There's for sale by owner information in there as well. I haven't called for sale by owners in a while just because they're not that many right now and they're selling. But yeah, so I'm going in and doing this coffee and cold calls. So this is coffee and cold calls. I got my Wu-Tang mug, so I'm a Wu-Tang fan. Great coffee. Gonna make some great calls. So the process, I typically what I'll do is I've got on my other screen here, I've got my expired listing up in My Plus Leads. Gives me the phone number, gives me a little bit of information. It gives me the description that was out there on the MLS. I can see where the person lives, and it gives me a couple of different options for the phone numbers. Now, I usually call just the main contact. I don't go through and call all the different contacts on there because you can get that information, and they have it on here. But I'm not going to call everybody that lives in the house. I'm going to call the main contact and call the main number and their alternate number that's in here. See if it's something that is still active, and if it's not, then they'll just go directly to my mailing campaign. The other thing that I do is I look up the actual listing on the MLS. I look at the listing history, see what's happened. How many did they have? A bunch of price reductions, things like that, because typically the person will start to get into a story about what happened, and I want to have some familiarity there. And then what I do is I go in and I just take a look at the pictures and see if there's anything that I might have changed, the main picture, things like that. But these are all things that I will go over at the appointment with them and see if there's anything different that I can do. So, so while I'm at it, let me go in and get started. Yes, I'm hand dialing. I'm going to hand dial these. These aren't in a dialer because there's not that many that come up on a daily basis. So 2 expired listings came up in the price range that I'm looking at today. And then I have 5 or 6 follow-up calls that I'm going to make. And I track everything, of course, but that list gets bigger and bigger every single day. There's a new listing or there's a new follow-up that I need to do. My call list, my contact list gets bigger and bigger. So it's called compound effect. Eventually you have enough that you need in order to do that. Eventually you have a ton of calls to make. Right now I don't have a ton of calls to make, so I'm just going to hit this up real quick. Like I said, I am hand dialing. All right. Call number one. I'll put it on speaker so you can hear what happens in case somebody does it. I'm not leaving a voicemail until I call them the last time this week. So it'll be Monday through Friday. Monday through Friday, and then I'll put them on, call them again on Monday morning, next Monday, and then I'll leave a voicemail for them. All right. So that's kind of that's the follow up.
The subscriber you have dialed is not in service.
So that's a landline. So usually that's the case. That's usually what happens. All right. So now I do have a cell phone number here for him. So I'm gonna call that.
Hi, this is Chad Rice, and you've reached me.
Hey, but that tells me that I have the right number. All right. So now what I'll do is I'm just gonna disposition that quick. Mark it as ring, no answer, not contacted. Schedule my follow-up for tomorrow at 8 a.m. And these follow-ups go directly onto my calendar too. So the MyPlus Lead system, it allows you to schedule it with yourself. You can choose to put it on your calendar because technically, it'll remind you to do it as well. But I always put it on my calendar because it gives me that reminder every day, and I can just go directly into it. So wait while that pulls up. Thank you. Send the update. Done. That was call number one. No answer. And that's okay because you have to don't think about it as you're missing out. Think about it as you have another opportunity to follow up. He's probably screening his calls a lot this morning. He's probably getting a ton of calls from other agents right now. Doesn't even know what the heck is going on. So on to the next one. Like I said, I had two new expired listings that I called or that I had pop up today, and then we got some follow up to do that I'll do right after this because I might as well. I called them a little later on in the day last week. It's got a listing that was on the market for 90 days. Really nice one, nice area. So like I said, I go in and I check the history really quick, see what happened. Because a lot of times these homes they can expire, and a lot of times they could have gotten an offer, but the closing date was pushed out past the listing expiration date. So if I see that it went from like pending to expired, it's one that I'll probably assume that it already sold, but that expiration date came up before the closing. So that happens a lot of times too. And so yeah, so I like to go in and look at the history for that. It also gives me a little breakdown of whether or not there were a ton of price reductions or if it went in and out of like not available for showing, like what happened there and things like that. So, and these are things that you can go over with them once you get the appointment. So now it's time to dial the number. So it's just a quick research period followed by the phone call.
Good morning, it's Denise.
Hi, Denise. I was looking for William Lynch. Do I have the right number?
No, you do not. Is there something I can assist you with?
Yeah. Well, I was calling about property, 15 Summit Place. I'm not sure if you've probably gotten a ton of calls about that this morning. Just wanted to see if there was any possibility that you guys would be interviewing any other agents.
I not at this time.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So that was a good one. Now, you see how we keep it. I keep it brief and I keep it very straightforward. So right now they say not at this time, and I don't mind. I don't push them to. Um, I don't push them to do anything. Maybe what I'll add to my script is just asking, when would you like me to follow up? Would you like me to follow up with you at another time or something like that? Which is something that I have done. But see, the first night or the first day that a listing goes on the market, goes expired, there's so many other scripts out there that are super aggressive. Somebody says not at this time. They're like, why not? Come on. Like basically pounding. So they that phone number that was attached to the person must have been, yep, that was his wife. That was his wife. So I can see the people that are attached to the property. So that was his wife there. Now, this property was listed by somebody that I actually know, which is funny. And they said that they're not going to be doing that at this time. I let them go, and I put on there to follow up with them. Now I'm going to also send them a thank you note for taking my quick call, and then we'll just go from there. But I will, now that I spoke to that one, and they said not at this time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put them on my mailing campaign and call them once a week. So I mark that as a lead, and I'll do a screen share and all that stuff with the information, showing you exactly the tools that I use and all that good stuff too. But right now, just go in and do it really quick because I don't want to take up too much of the time. So those are the two new ones. I spoke to one. I made a contact. That's called a contact. I got to know. You heard the tone of that person, right, on the thing. Now, I'll be honest, that tone puts me off a little bit just because like I said, I'm not one to push anybody into doing anything. I'm not a pushy salesperson. I take all that out of it. I take all of that sales pressure out of my approach. And so, she calmed down a little bit at the end when I said I was just wondering if you guys were, interviewing any other agents. I had scrolled down and saw that she was, in fact, like attached to the actual listing itself. So, in knowing that, then I was able to just jump right in and say, hey, I was calling in regards to 15 Summit Place. I just wanted to find out if you guys were interested in interviewing any other agents at this time. That's my question. That's the question every single time. Anyway, like that's the question. Do you want to interview new agents at this time? And then I ask for the appointment, like straightforward. Like that's more my style with everything that I do, with every bit of communication that I do. It's just very straightforward. It's like there's no point in trying to trick. There's no foolery here. So anyway, let me get back to my dashboard real quick, and I'm going to pull up the follow-ups that I need to do today. And I can do these directly out of my Outlook calendar, which is love. All right, let's go. This is my second call to them, just so you know. Yeah, I'm just gonna hit that. So usually, if there's two cell phone numbers on there, right? It's usually the husband and the wife, or whatever it may be. If it's listed under the main contacts on My Plus Leads, that's when I call both numbers. And you don't have to worry about it. Nothing is they didn't answer that one. So let's see. So phone call. Got them on here. I'll mark these both as complete. You see, I've said this before. I'll say it again. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to go spring for, an expensive dialer right away. You don't have to do things. If you can just do this and you stick to it. Look, a lot of times people will come to me and they'll be like, oh man, why don't you push harder for the sale? Why don't you do this and do that? Like that never worked for me. It felt bad. Like it felt, I don't know, uncomfortable. So I just never did it that way. So you wake up, you do your thing, you take action. Have you taken action today? That's the question. Have you taken action today? You take action, you're gonna win. I have an offer that I submitted yesterday on a property for a client. Waiting on the response for that. Be a great day if that happens. And then I'm also going to be reverse prospecting a I didn't get that on my thing. I'm also going to be reverse prospecting a listing that I have on the market already. Damn it. Let me go back in there and save this. Update the item. Come back to it. Oh, well. I got it on there. Let me close that one out. Going on to the next one. Like I said, I used to edit these. I used to edit all this stuff out, but this is a true prospecting session. It's what I call a sprint, right? Especially because I'm focusing on just these expired listing calls, right? Because when you're focusing on these expired listing calls, then what I'd be able to do is you just narrowed in. That's all. Now, every time I pull one of these ones that I'm following up on, I'll wait a couple seconds, because it will show me whether or not it was relisted or not. And if it was relisted, then I'm not going to call it. And I'll just call it a dead listing. This one is still expired. So I'm going to give him a call. Now, once I'm following up, there's no need for me to do the research that I was doing before.
Call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
That one went directly to, so I'm going to go bring no answer, follow up tomorrow. Now on Friday is when I'm going to be leaving the voicemail for these ones. So it's coffee and cold calls, man. Coffee and cold calls. It's coffee and cold calls. You know what I'm saying? Beautiful thing is you do it directly from your phone. It's not likely that you're going to come up as scam likely on somebody's phone. I noticed that I would get people that would tell me that I came up as scam likely on their phone when I was calling from the dialer. And it is not any it's not any kind of dig at the dialer or anything like that, because chances are at some point I will continue to use the dialer. Most definitely, because it's a more efficient way of doing things. But when you're calling on expire listening and things like that, you're better off hand dialing them, because for one, you're not being pushed into the next call automatically. You can update things, you can do the research that's needed, because a lot of times you'll get that as an objection. Send that update. You get that as an objection, right? Somebody will say, "Didn't you see that I already sold it," or whatever, and it's like, no, I didn't. But if you if you've already pulled it up and done that research, you can speak intelligently to them about their listing, right? Now let's see, what's this other one? Can't record. Apple Valley. Great. See, I talked to this person. I talked to this person already. So this one I meant to do something different here. Change this to I'm gonna call him back this Friday. Change that to this Friday. This is it. This is the good, the bad, the ugly. This is the boring process that is prospecting. I'm actually going to change it on my calendar to that, and I'm going to do it at 8 a.m. Now, I put it on my calendar that way for two reasons. It's going to give me the reminder. They also shoot out a text and an email reminder for your follow-up for you to do it. But it also reminds me not to schedule anything over that time, that I need to make those calls. And in all honesty, you should kind of live by your calendar that way. So I would highly recommend that if you do anything, cold call, whatever, schedule it on your calendar, block it, do the time blocking deal. That stuff works so that you're not getting distracted and doing other things outside of outside of what you need to do, your prospecting. That was a landline. Now I know next time not to call that one. So a lot of times though, what I would do is I would just let the phone ring 3 times, because if it's a and these are the ones that I'm following up with now, these are old expireds. All right. Like 2 years old expired. Now, one call that I made on a 2-year-old expired from 2 years ago, I set an appointment to follow up with in the next 3 weeks, as they might be coming on the market. But these I just these are the ones that I called, because when there weren't any expires that were coming on, then I go back and look at the old ones and do some old expired listings. But any new one, I want to get them on the phone, or at least try to, just to see if I can set an appointment real quick, because some people could be ready to make a move, right away. Green Gables Trail. And yes, I will attempt to call the landline that's attached to that, even though a lot of times it does come up that it's like that it's disconnected or whatever. But yeah, all these are still. All these are still expired. I'm still going for it. When they're not answering, I want them to see that I'm calling over and over again. All right. And then when I get them on the phone, I want them to hear that I'm not pushing them into the call, because that in and of itself is my commercial. Right. And what I mean by that is that any other agent that calls and tries to push them or is giving them the sales pressure, they're going to remember that there was this one guy that called, didn't pressure me into anything. He was persistent. I might want to give him a shot. And a lot of times that's how it ends up working out, right? They'll tell me, like, you were the guy that called and didn't really do much, like didn't really push. You sounded like you knew what you were talking about. And that's that. The coffee I'm drinking always out of a French press. I love a French press, good French press coffee. It's the best way to make it. But I shot over to Dunn Brothers and got some dark roast beans, grind them up myself, make my coffee, put it in my Wu-Tang mug, and get to business. All right. I absolutely love going in and making the calls. Now, I don't know why I was so nervous or so afraid. Will say I was afraid of calling expired listings. I don't know why, but and I think the main reason, I'll be honest with you, I think the main reason why is because when I first started calling expired listings, I was following I'll just name names, the Mike Ferry scripts and things like that, which are very pressure sales tactics and things like that. But once I started realizing that people don't have that much time to be on the phone with you, and a lot of time, and people just want you to be straightforward and move on to the point. Now, there's no phone number attached to this one. Okay, there's no phone number attached to this one. So I'm going to but now making these calls, if somebody answers, I don't feel nervous at all. Because I'm asking a simple question. If I was to go to their door, I would do that. But I tried doing door knocking of expires. And what I realized too is that if you're knocking on doors of houses that are 400, 500,000 plus, oftentimes these folks have already bought another home and they're moving on and they've moved into their new home. It's getting a little bright in here. I can see my face shining a little bit. But now oftentimes that house will be empty. So going and knocking on that door, leaving the door hanger is almost a waste of your time unless you go out there and you knock on doors around the expired listing to get some business, which I've done as well. But oftentimes what I find is that person, they're either not home or anything like that. So dropping off your package, I've done it to where I've knocked on a door, dropped off an expired listing package, which was just some information on myself, a quick CMA, things like that. And then what I would do is I would go back like a week later, knock on the same door, and that package was still sitting there in the same place. So a lot of times these people have already moved on, and maybe they'll come back and check on the property every so often or something like that. But it's just, that turns into a waste of time. So you're better off making that phone call first. Make that phone call first, and then put them on some sort of campaign, a mailing campaign or whatever it might be. I'll talk to you about my mailing campaign on a later video as well. I've got 2 more calls to make here within this hour to finish up. Oh, I talked to these folks already. Just love. So the one I just pulled up is the one that I talked to last week. Said that they maybe want to put their home on the market this spring. So I always put on there that I'm going to give them a call back a couple weeks before they say to give them a call back. So I'm actually going to move this one. Good. So 1 more call to make. See if there's somebody I spoke to already. Yep. I already called this one. Okay. Now this one's going to get moved. All right, moved it. I was going to get moved to the 25th. So that was it. Those are my expired calls. Did it seem like I got a lot done? Probably not. But I got in 7 calls to those. Those were with my follow-up. Those were with the follow-ups that I did with the brand new expires that came on. Now, Mondays and Fridays are usually the days that I see most of the expired listings come up. And then the beginning and the end of every month is when you see more expired listings come on. So I'm going to continue to call these folks. You're going to see that there's going to be a lot of times where people are not answering. You're going to hear when I do the voicemail, when I call the voicemail. And then what I'll do is I'll go into the other pieces to the puzzle, which are the mailer and everything like that. But my script never changes. Script absolutely never changes. That's the script that I'm going to get. Introduce myself, ask for the person that I'm calling, tell them I'm calling about the house, want to see if you're interviewing other agents. I'm not informing them that their house is expired or came off the market or blah, 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 because chances are they already know. All right. But anyway, this has been Coffee and Cold Calls live version. Look forward to having you guys on tomorrow. Now I'm going to go in and do some other things, reverse prospect my listing, follow up on the offer that I put in, and hey, work with a couple new agents that I'm trying to bring on. And other than that, I'm going to be done for the day. And that's how you run the business. All right. Some days are long, some days are short, but you're always taking action. Thanks.